Okay, good morning. So we're going to go through where we're up to with the project so far. Well done for most of you getting your project submitted so far. I'm not allowed to give detailed feedback, but I want to check and see how far you've got so far. So you submit it on the VLE to project submission. We've had this deadline, so we've done the analysis, the design, the testing for development, testing for evaluation. That leaves us until just over a month's time to get the evaluation done and any other changes. So 15 marks for the evaluation. That means 3 weeks plus some contingency time to mop up anything that still needs to be done here. Let's have a look at the mark scheme. Project mark scheme, here we go. I think it's worth going really quickly through what we've done so far. So analysis, the most important part from the evaluation perspective is your success criteria. So you identified these in the analysis section and you said why they are important. Then you did the design and you said what you would have to do in the post-development phase to gather feedback from your users once you've finished your project. Then we did implementation. And hopefully your implementation has already got evidence of the code, screenshots of the code working, as in you can see what the solution actually looks like, and some kind of commentary of this worked, this didn't work, I'm going to move on and do this because, etc. If you haven't yet annotated your codes by adding comments, you should have done, because that improves maintenance in the future. That does not commit you to maintaining your code in the future, but it would make it easier for somebody if they picked up your project and ran with it in the future. Whilst you were developing, you were also testing. So test tables were your to-do lists at each stage that told you what success looks like, perhaps linking back to success criteria in the analysis section, telling me what you would type in, what you'd expect to see, and what you actually see, with some evidence of what happens when it goes wrong. You have just done this bit, so post-development testing, that means after you've finished writing code. Function, does it do what you want it to do? So some of your success criteria should have been about function. It should have given you these results. Some of your success criteria should have been linked to robustness, as in, does it crash? What happens when you read an invalid text file? What happens if the text file you're trying to read doesn't exist? Like things unexpected, can your program cope with that? What happens if the user types in invalid data or data in the wrong order or things like that? And as well as function robustness, there should be some kind of evidence. Some people like to do this as video. I think that's really cumbersome to do, and I really don't like marking it. I prefer screenshots and a commentary of what you have achieved. It's faster for you and it's faster for me. Usability means how easy it is to use, as in have you got hints telling people what to type in when? Have you got messages that appear when they type in invalid data? Have you got high contrast mode? What have you done to improve the user experience? Okay, so this is the bit to zone in on. This is the new bit. This is all about evaluation now. So use the test evidence to cross-reference with the success criteria. So this is not repeating your tests. It's just maybe having a list of your success criteria from your analysis section and saying done, 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 not done. So I'll carry on the sentence. To evaluate the solution and explain how the evidence shows that the criteria has been fully met. I have done all of success criteria 3 because tests 2 to 5 tell me so. Partially met. My success criteria said that some of this works, this part doesn't work. Or not met in each case. Provided comments. This is not comments in code. This is your description of how any partially met or unmet criteria could be addressed. Notice the word is could, not will be or should. It's if you had time, and I'm aware that time is limited and finite. That's the same in industry as it is in A-level. If you had more time, what would you do to attempt to meet these ones that haven't been met just yet? So this is broken down into two, really. It's the same kind of thing. If you've got functionality tests that haven't been fully met, then that's this bullet point. If you've got robustness tests that haven't really been met, then that's what have we got? Usability features, how they could be improved in future. So provided evidence of the usability features justifying their success, provided comments on how any issues with unmet usability features could be addressed. So how much works? What could you do to improve? What doesn't quite work yet? If your project is not finished, this is where you can get 15 marks even though it doesn't fully work. If all of your success criteria are not met, there may well be parts of the development that need to be marked down. But you can still get high marks in development if you don't meet all of your success criteria, as long as you've got validation, you've got different prototypes, your code is well structured, as in you're using classes or procedures and functions, your code is commented, you've tested it as you've gone, and you've talked about what doesn't work yet. You do not need a complete solution to get full marks. And then it's maintenance issues and limitations. So what would happen, like what libraries have you imported from NuGet? What packages are you relying on? What happens if the .NET framework becomes unmaintained? Is your project going to be open source or closed source? What's your licensing restrictions? Are you going to ask your company to pay you per year or per hour to fix it? The limitations you identified in the analysis as something that your program shouldn't do at this stage because of your limited time, well, how might you go about those in future? Are you going to open source it so anyone can add to it? Are you going to do a kind of pay per feature where you can have a subscription model and you get new features automatically, or you pay as new things are developed? How are you going to improve it? If you're going to suggest that you improve it, how are you going to roll it out? Do you need an engineer to go to the computer and physically install it? Does your program automatically check for updates? Could that be a feature you could add in future? Anything like that. Could your program be developed to deal with the limitations or potential improvements in change? So I've talked about that here. What are the issues? How could you address those issues? This one you don't need to do anything new for. It's just, have you written in a way that I can read it? Is it structured? What do I mean by structured? Are the paragraphs in your Word document laid out in a sensible way? What is a sensible way? Exactly the same order as these bullet points. You should have your mark scheme open at all times when you're writing up. You are not required to repeat yourself. If you've already done your test tables further up in your testing section, you don't have to copy and paste those again. You can refer to them. You don't have to repeat the evidence from your testing for evaluation section, but you should refer to them. As in, test user 1 proved that or commented that. This shows that, therefore I need to. That's the type of thing that we're looking for.